So we are live without any introduction or any announcement. This is like one of those things where people just sit and talk on Twitch or on whatever. I don't know
Yeah,
that
we're
we're going
just
to have
hanging.
any viewers. Yes, this is just us. But maybe people will view later. I can send this link around and see if anybody wants to join. But I don't know. What do you want to talk about? How'd it go on Biblingo?
It went well. I'm just So this is the first week I'm hosting everything. So um, I just got like admin access to change the times, but I got to figure out if people can still make it and everything. So just got some
Mm-hmm.
work to do this week on that. But other than that, it's going well.
Hmm. You want to
The
look at some modern Hebrew stuff?
We can. I did go ahead and do those other like 5 that we had on Wine Green. If
Yeah,
you want
let's
to look
finish that up first
at,
because
if
we didn't get to the end of it. How about that?
yeah, I
Ducks.
just went ahead and
Let's get over
like,
there.
and I was just kind of like trying to rush, not like pristine by any means. Um,
How's that? Can you see the page?
I can
It's
now.
been shared. Let's see. Pull up 200%. Go to the bottom. All right. So we didn't get finished with. What is that? I'll let you.
8 through 12.
This one. This one. This one. All right. Vaishlach. David sent his men. Okay. So David is the subject, so it's going to go over here.
Mm-hmm.
Vaishlach David et.
8 unshaved. Yeah.
This is Anashab. Okay. Et Anashab, he sent his men unto the woman. Okay. And Haisha. Notice this is closed syllable. I know that modern Hebrew writes Isha, but
Yeah.
biblical Hebrew has to write Isha. Doesn't have an option. To take her, lakachat אותה, or לקחת אליו, לאישה. Okay? This is going to have a break here. There's going to be a break.
Okay.
Whatever accent it's going to be is going to have a break. So key is hard. For they told him that her husband was dead. Okay, we should look at that. That's an issue. How do we know it's higidu, and not hegid? And what's the difference?
Okay.
Higidu lo ki met isha. Okay. Obala.
Okay.
Oh, I'm losing control of my keyboard. Balameta. Balamet. Kimet isha obala. Yeah, okay. Vaikhua. They took her. Vaikhua. Elav. Okay, we've got Elav, El, Hamidbara.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes good sense.
Where he had hidden himself. Asher istater sham. We have to have the sham.
Okay.
Asher istater sham milifnei Shaul. Yeah.
I keep doing that.
Milifnei Shaul. All right, so Higidu. No dagesh.
Hold on. I haven't. Yeah, I know. I don't know why it's too.
All right. So let's pull up the thing here. Hold on, I'm gonna itch my ear. That's what we always said. What we always said in Missouri. Gotta itch my ear, but it's not itch; it's scratch.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad that
My
you
ear
admit it.
itches and I scratch it.
I'm
Right.
glad that you admit it. Uh, I have other people who swear by itch being a
But in
verb. It's
Missouri, we
like,
said, you say, I itch my ear, I itch my nose. No, you scratch your nose
yeah,
because it itches.
drives me.
Yeah. So let's think of how about we do instead of this, we'll do Word because Word is easier to type on.
It's just funny fact. My I was listening to a sermon this week, and the pastor kept
Sounds
pronouncing
fun.
Chaldeans as Chaldeans. And I said, I understand that people who don't know the languages read, when they read that, they might think that's what that is, but there might not be a sound. I was telling my buddy this, but there might not be a sound that is more grating to my ear in than pronouncing those as chuz, like in chalk. Chaldean made me want to rip my ears out. And I was like, I don't expect it to say a hit, but can you at least do the K, like the K sound, like something? it's like there might not be anything more grating to my ears, but yeah. Anyway, that's it.
All right. Well, you got to put up with some things.
Yeah, I know.
So this word, lagid, in the past tense, would be thought of as hingid. 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 That's the normal pattern, right? The noon assimilates, so we get higid. Okay? Higid.
Yep.
Because it's hingid. But it's not the case with like la vie. So le ha vi does not have a closed syllable, it has an open syllable.
Right.
Because the root is bo,
Oh,
which gives us
but you're right.
like
That's what I did. I just like built it. It was a middle for whatever reason.
mhm.
Yeah.
So because this doesn't have like a root letter that's assimilated, it doesn't become be, right?
Yep.
So instead, this lengthens to a. So heavy. Oh, come
Yep.
back. Come back, please.
I
So
can hear you.
heavy. He brought.
Yeah.
So that's the difference from the e with the closed syllable and a an open syllable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't even realize what I had done, but what I did, I just kind of built it.
How dare you do it?
I
So
know.
ki higidu. Higidu. Okay, right, next. The priest said unto the woman, Vayomer Kohen Elisha. The Lord hath heard thy prayer. Adonai shama et tfilatech. Not tehillah, tefillah.
I
And
do it every
tefillah
time.
has
Yeah. La is
no.
it?
I'm
Is
dropping
it?
things because I'm chasing a mosquito in my house.
It's open. Yeah.
Tfilatech,
Yeah.
tfilatech, but this syllable is closed. Tfilatech, so
Right.
it can't have yod. Can't have yod because the lamed is
Okay.
doubled. Because the root is pei lamed lamed.
Right. Palal. Yeah. Hit palal. Okay.
Adonai shama et tfilatech, and they will. Oh, and thou shalt bear a son. Yaladet. Yaladet is past to the future. Yaladet. Yaladet ben.
Tiladit was passed.
No, Teled.
Uh huh.
Teled, Tildi, right? But you can't have, you need to have a phrase marker,
Oh, okay.
clause marker.
Right, because
Like
we
it's
have.
very strange to have Keldi just sitting there with no mark on it, with no vav. V'yaladet ben v'kar'u, and they shall call, kar'u shmo or kar'u et shmo, Shmuel. Mm-hmm. Joshua commanded the priests of the people, saying, Vaytzav Yoshua et kohanei ha'am, lemor, take ye great stones. Khu, khu. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Avanim gdolot.
What did I have? Lichu?
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
I have lich?
likhu.
Okay, my bad. Yeah.
Ve'chatavtem v'chitvu aleihen, ve'uchtavtem aleihen, all these blessings,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
et kol abrachot ha'ele, כאשר ציוונו, ציוונו, משה, לפני מותו.
Malto. Okay.
All right, good. Next. The wicked man saw the gold and the silver in the palace of the king. האיש הרשע. ראה את הזהב ואת הכסף בהיכל המלך, and he took from it. ויקח ממנו. Why feminine?
Oh, because I was thinking it was Heichal. My bad.
היכל is also masculine. היכל גדול. היכל
Thought it was
גדול.
feminine. Yeah, no, that's just because I was wrong.
And he hid it in the ground. The uhu has to be they. U is they.
My bad.
Ehu. Uh-oh.
I'll put in the right place.
Yeah, so vayastirehu. Vayastirehu.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Vayastirehu in the ground. Ba'adama. המלך. את הכסף בהיכל המלך ויקח ממנו ויסתירהו באדמה. I think that they don't want us to put the ehu though, because they put it in parentheses. Vayaster.
Oh, okay. Oopsie.
Vayaster באדמה. Okay. Hide not. Okay, this is al. Al tastir. Al tastir.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Al tastir mimeni et panecha.
Yeah.
Al tastir mimeni et panecha. And thy Holy Spirit, Ruach Kodshecha, Kod, short syllable. Ruach Kodshecha, do not take. Al tikach. Al tikach. You following?
Yep.
Al tikach mimeni. For ki avdecha ani. Ani. Pause.
Right.
At the end of the verse. Ani. Ki avdecha ani. Or you could say avdecha anochi. Anochi. That's a nice one. Anochi. Okay, that's enough of that. We've done enough of that. Let's
Cool.
cut that out.
Right.
Yeah, that's too much. Whew. Whew. Are there any articles that you've read recently that you thought might be interesting to share?
Oh man, no, I was mentioning that one about the about memorizing that I sent you. The way that they did that, um, the way that the medieval scribes did that, their way, their like trick for it. But
The
that's
memorization?
yeah, that's the only thing I've read super recently. Um, and then of course the one about the girl reading about the woman reading Job. Um, those are both Tyndale House articles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the one that you sent me. I've stored up my word, or your word, in my heart, manuscripts and memorization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this article talks about books that they wrote in the medieval times, to for their memorization of. Nobody's out there. There's 0 viewers right now. But memorization of entire chapters of like the Psalms and whatever. And this document here shows like little beginnings of lines that are supposed to call it to memory, but not the whole line of the text. So they say it's a shorthand Psalter manuscript, or shorthand Psalter manuscripts, images reproduced, blah blah blah. She says, hold on, we've got the author up here. What's her name?
This one is Kim Phillips.
Kim Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She says, let's take a closer look to see what the manuscript works. How the manuscript works is an aide memoire, which means mnemonic aid. How do you say memory? Memory aid. Memory aid.
Yeah.
Pictured on the left in is Psalm 42, as the deer longs for streams of water. I don't know what the text is supposed to look like. Let's see. Psalm. What psalm is it?
42. So I think is what you said.
There it is, right there. Hold on, I gotta check that. I'm still converting my file. Okay, good, that's fine. So, Ke'ayal ta'arog al afike mayim. And we see here, this is the beginning ta'arog. It would say here Ke'ayal, but the line is broken. And then, Sam anafshi, my soul has been thirsting. Let's see. Sam anafshi, right? My soul thirsts for the God, for the living God, right? So, Sam anafshi. So each line is like a different part. Haitali. Can you see where my mark is? No? Haitali. And this one's Anna something. Let's see what it says. Eskera. It says El Eskera. But the point is that they wrote out a couple of words from each line for them to remember how the line started, and then they would need to remember by pulling the rest out.
And if you scroll down, he like highlights. Those are the from the different verses. The ones in bold are the ones that they wrote out. Apparently, they had a hard time with the "I say to God" verse because they wrote the most of it.
Interesting. And so this one's from Psalm 104, and it just it shows how they would write out parts of it as a memory aid so that they would do the rest, um, by rote. How on
Yeah.
earth was the owner of this manuscript able to achieve such an impressive feat of memorization? The manuscript itself can give us some hints. We can also turn to some of the memory training manuals, some as old as the Greco-Roman period, for extra information. And so they go through and they talk about how they divided up the text for memory,
Yeah.
for memorization, especially mentioning like important terms from the section. It's a really interesting article. I'm glad that you sent it to me, because the art of memorizing is something that's being lost in today's generations, I think.
Yeah. And, and I found this one after Ellie Weiner, uh, who's also at Tyndale House. She wrote one about memorizing the whole Job um, during
She
her
memorized the
PhD.
entire book of Job
Yeah. Um, I got
in Hebrew.
and yeah,
Hmm,
yeah,
that's a
and
feat. That is, I don't think that's even something I would want to try.
yeah. She did call it the surprising joy memorizing.
She called it what?
Memorizing Job. The surprising joy of memorizing.
Hmm.
Here, but she had mentioned she ref that we just got done looking at, but she talks just about how much all that she memorized in you know this this Jobin thing, this Job memorization thing, and like it's intense. Like I I don't know how I couldn't. Did but her thing was like I just sent you the link.
Yeah.
Her thing at the end is like part of like at you know at the academic level at least the like divisions in Job like they became more apparent to her, like
Hmm.
logical divisions just after memorizing it. She's like, this makes more sense memorizing like this group of you know uh speeches goes together and this is how they go together. I'm trying to think. um I'm just trying to see
Yeah.
if I can find the spot where she talks about that.
Let's see. 42
Yeah,
chapters, 1,070 verses. Job in English translation is formidable enough. The book grapples with weighty theological issues, premised on the unfair scenario of Job's innocent suffering. A complex chorus of voices responds to Job's plight. The reader must pick through the perspectives of Job, his wife, his three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, and the young upstart Elihu, as well as those of God, the enigmatic Satan, and the narrator. How is the reader supposed to evaluate these perspectives? Where do they agree and disagree? Who's right, and on what grounds? Is there any way to hear a coherent, compelling message through the dissonant voices of this book? It seems important to read one part of Job's literary structure in light of the whole, but figuring out how the entire book fits together is far from simple. For example, why does God rebuke Job's speaking and then command it 4 chapters later? Or how does God's poetic litany of questions about creation, complete with lightning bolts and an ostrich, constitute a valid answer for boil-covered Job perched on an ash heap, grieving the loss of his 10 children? So the books of Job in English the book of Job presents plenty of perplexities, but I have to contend with it in Hebrew. And many scholars claim that Job has the hardest Hebrew in the Old Testament. The poetic core of the book, chapters 3 to 42, includes around 170 words that occur nowhere else in the Old Testament, along with other rare words and odd usages. One may come to the text with plenty of interpretive zeal, only to feel thwarted when unfamiliar words and tricky syntax make a line of poetry seem unintelligible. Yet, as I launched into research, I swiftly found my misgivings yielding to cascading Job and joy. I now regard this book as vital for cultivating soul-satisfied allegiance to God within a world full of pain and unanswered questions. What changed? My Job and joy took off when I decided to memorize the book in Hebrew. Oh my goodness. One afternoon in Tyndall House, I discussed my research rhythms with Kim Phillips, who had recently written for Inc. on antique techniques for memorizing the Psalms. When I expressed to him my... Kim is a male.
Yeah.
Kim Phillips
that's what I was
is a
saying
man.
earlier. Yeah.
When I expressed to him my aim of being steeped in the Hebrew text of Job during my study, Kim casually suggested that I could memorize the entire book. I was struck by how manifestly reasonable he made it sound to tuck into my brain 42 chapters of highly sophisticated literature written in an ancient language. But what a tantalizing prospect, irresistible in fact. That day I committed to memorizing the entire book of Job in Hebrew, and less than 6 months later, I finished.
In 6
That sounds
months.
insane.
Less than 6. It is. It's plumb crazy.
Several motivations prompted me to undertake this cognitive challenge. I see we have 2 people watching. This is kind of random. We're just like hanging out and talking. If you'd like to join us on the video, send a private chat. I don't know. Do they have option for private chat? I guess they don't. Then send a message on Facebook in the live chat, and I'll contact you and give you the link if I can. I don't know. Should I put it just on the live chat? That would give us... We're not going to have a lot of viewers, so why not? We don't have a lot of viewers ever. So here's the stream chat link, and you're welcome to jump up on there with us. And if we don't like you, we'll kick you off. If you're mean and you say stupid things. All right. Several motivations prompted me to undertake this cognitive challenge. I was and remain wary of imposing on the book theoretical frameworks and methodologies which are presumed to be clever, but may not be helpful. An earnest PhD student could easily get lost in an echo chamber of copious academic debate about Job, the age-old perils of the proverbial ivory tower. I want to participate in scholarly discussions while still listening to Job as a living text and pondering my own thoughts and questions arising from my encounter with it. Memorizing Job was a way to keep myself accountable to the biblical text while staying keenly aware that my understanding of it is provisional. In essence, I hoped that my struggling for many, many hours to engrave this text in my mind would help me to do my PhD more honestly and more humbly. Interesting. I also saw memorizing Job as a prime opportunity to position myself as God's student. I am just a hobbyist of languages, history, etc. Obviously, learning a language is very difficult. I subbed to be exposed to the language. I like Russian too. Cyrillic, anyway. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, you're welcome to join us on here if you want to talk about anything to do with Hebrew and just be on our live for a little while. I'm just going to skip a bit because this is really long. I do 7 chapters per day before coming to the library, perk of being an early bird. How could you do that? 7 chapters a day. That's reviewing. That is as she's committing it to memory. Was it worth the effort? Undoubtedly, for no reason. For many reasons. For no reason. Though my motivations were devotional more than academic, I've certainly reaped research benefits. Having internalized Job, I find myself more effective at evaluating others' arguments about the book and more adept at marshalling supporting evidence for my own. I am better able to register lexical and thematic connections across different sections and voices in the book, what scholars call intertextuality. As my eyes fixated on each word of Job and my mind grasped for memory aids, I started appreciating the exquisiteness of this notoriously gnarly Hebrew text. Though I realized that I catch a mere fraction of Job's brilliance and artistry, I've marveled at its wordplay, soundplay, and witty repetitions that weave through the text and stitch it together. It's also been joyous to discover the unforeseen ways the text inculcates in me certain postures and obedience as it saturates my imagination. Job reverberates in my prayer life and conversation. I find myself reckoning daily with my creaturely limitations and the accompanying invitation to trust the God who knows what I do not understand and rules that I cannot control. and rules what I cannot control. I find myself more prompted to prayerful advocacy for my hurting neighbors. The unforeseen reminds me to rejoice in the unseen. Engaging with Scripture in hope of hearing God's voice is always an act of faith. As I survey how the Lord has already generously instructed me through Job, I am assured that God will continue to do so as He pleases in my heart and life through Scripture. His work's often mysteriously quiet and slow, but it is real, deep, and lasting. Suggestions for memorizing the Bible. Establish mental organization for the text according to its literary structure and themes. Use a system for maintaining previously learned material, and be thoughtful about engaging your body as much as possible.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you feel about memorizing the Hebrew text?
It's like I was saying earlier. It's like it's not something I've done a lot of, but it's something I want to do more of because
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason I've not done it is like I didn't do a lot of it in English. Like, I was
Really?
more of like, yeah, just because, and like I know stuff just because I've heard it so much. But like it's just not something that was. I mean, I was encouraged to do it, but it wasn't anything I ever took the time to do. I know where like like I can get to a reference, and I know actually memorizing it. I just didn't do. It just wasn't my. Just wasn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I read, I'd study, but taking the time to memorize wasn't part of that. And if so, it was a verse at a time, verse or two, never like a full passage or anything. Um, Something I want to do more of because when
I'm losing you.
Shema, and I had to do that
I
the first
lost you.
semester.
I heard you say Kazai and then you froze. Something.
Sorry, the first bit of Hebrew that I memorized was the Shema in my first semester of Hebrew. I didn't understand any of it, but I did memorize it. Um, Probably with poor now.
Yeah. Well, did you memorize like the three paragraphs of the Shema, or you learned like Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad?
No, it was 5 verses.
Huh.
And so the
So you went to Ve'al She'arecha and on your gates.
I think so. Yeah. I've since forgotten a lot of that, actually, but I'd have the first still.
Okay, you want to look at that? I think the idea of like memorizing scripture is really important, and a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah.
So this is Kriyat Shema. It's the recitation of the Shema. Obviously, it begins with Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Then it goes to 6:5. Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Okay, then it says you stop a little bit before you finish and say, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובתקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
That's as far as I memorized. Yeah, I just did the first paragraph.
Yeah. But there's a second paragraph and a third paragraph.
Like I said, it was my first semester of Hebrew. I think my professor had a little bit of mercy on us and was like,
well, that's really neat. It's very cool that they would have you memorize anything at all. Because I think most Hebrew professors don't have their students memorize anything.
Yeah, and then the other were Psalm 23, and the I don't know what it.
I lost you again. I heard Psalm
Sorry.
23, and I don't know if, and then.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. The liturgy. My father was a wandering Aramean passage.
Mm-hmm.
In Deuteronomy 26, there's maybe like a 5-verse passage there that we were given the option of reading as well to memorize. So we had one of the three.
Nice. I just realized how hungry I'm getting. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I've got to go get those blood tests done so I can eat. But I've got to give myself another 2 hours. I can't leave the house like 3 hours before my appointment. But my stomach's growling. Because that's what blood tests do to you. They starve you. They check my sugar, and I have to, you guys look a bit like me. Maybe I should get a 23andMe. Memory is a crazy thing, right? What's 23andMe? Oh, that's your ancestry. I felt English was very memory-centric, but yes, in general, memorizing provides interesting perspectives. It does, especially when you're memorizing old texts, and especially texts that you're already familiar with in your own language. With playing piano, memory is a bit crazy. Definitely memorizing is a tool.
That was when I memorized music. When I memorized music, it was such a different thing. The music was tactile, like heavily tactile.
Well, I think that's how I feel when I'm typing. Like I type on the keyboard really quickly, but I'm just like, it's memory. Where the places are, and you don't think. You just think combinations. Like TION is like automatic. But I don't play any instruments. I wish that I did. I wish I could confirm or deny that, but I really can't. The first things when I was 21, I'd just been kicked out of Bible college because I didn't belong there, and I decided to myself that there were certain passages in Hebrew that I was going to memorize. And so I told myself I was going to learn the 10 Commandments, the first Psalm, the 23rd Psalm, and the Shema, like all of the paragraphs of the Shema. But I just sat down first of all with the 10 Commandments, and I talked to everyone that I knew who had studied Hebrew at Ozark Christian College, where I went. And I tried to convince them, let's memorize the 10 Commandments together. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We can recite them to each other, and whatever. And no one ever wanted to do it. No, they didn't. I'm surprised because I thought that would be a fun thing to do with one another. You get together with your friends and you start reciting Hebrew verses together. Can you imagine? That's wonderful. Adoni, he says, Anochi Adonai Elohecha, asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. Lo yeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai. Like, it's like, you just start reciting verses. Wouldn't that be fun? You recite to each other an entire chapter of Hebrew for fun.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's, with this, like, the place that I'm in, the Blingo too, is like, my goal is to like make it fun. Community out of it.
Exactly.
Build those relationships.
If I was able to eat right now, do you know what I'd be doing? I would be eating bamba. You know what bamba is?
Bombastic. No.
It's like you have cheese puffs, right?
Yeah.
We have peanut butter puffs. These are peanut puffs.
Oh, that sounds
like
really good.
Peanut flavored puffs, like cheese puffs. My goodness. Marcelo, he says, now, I think I can see how it could be applied in linguistic tasks. To put it like that, it's it provides you quick known ideas that you can associate. Absolutely. How is it
Yeah.
that whenever I'm talking to somebody about Hebrew, I'm able to, throw out a certain passage and I'm like, look, I've got, this word I remember from there, all the time, all the time. And Fernando in Hebrew, Fernando. This is Fernando Sanchez Perez. He says, I have a similar experience. I mean, my classmates were not interested at all about memorizing verses in Hebrew. Absolutely. You know what else I did? I'm sure you're aware of the website that I created, the Hebrew Cafe. This started, honestly, in 2003, I want to say. I started writing, just a basic website. The purpose was I called it JHR Online, which was Jewish Hebrew Reading Online. And my goal was to bring people from my community. Actually, I started it as Joplin Hebrew Reading, JHR Joplin Hebrew Reading, because I'm from Joplin, Missouri, and I wanted people from my town, from the synagogue, from churches, from all over, to get together online and read Hebrew together, and maybe even meet in person. So I went to the synagogue and I convinced 3 people to come to my house and sit down. I had some teaching materials and I said, I'm going to teach you the alphabet. We're going to start reading, And we spent, I swear, about a month just going over 5 letters of the alphabet, meeting twice a week. It was the biggest waste of time of anything I've ever seen. And it frustrated me because I'm like, how can you spend weeks and weeks and weeks learning the alphabet? And I've seen this happen so many times now. The alphabet is something you need to learn and learn it quickly. You learn I've lost you again, but I'm talking to myself and to our audience.
I heard at first. That was where I was at.
Yeah, the alphabet is something that you need to learn and learn quickly. Just learn it really fast. Don't think about what the letters mean, and don't think about don't try to figure out every letter and all its intricacies. Just associate the letter with a sound, and do it really quickly, and then make mistakes later on as you're reading, because reading is the goal. The goal is not to spend a year learning the alphabet, which I saw too many people doing. There was a set of books called Aleph Isn't Tough, and then another book that goes with it called Aleph Isn't Enough. And it's an entire textbook devoted to getting people to sound out words in Hebrew, to learn the alphabet.
Sight to sound correspondence.
I hate it. It's awful. Awful. When we did, first week of Hebrew, we had 3 class days. The first day, he says, this is the first half of the alphabet. The next day, he says, this is the second half of the alphabet. And then third day, here's a quiz.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to do it. Expect your people to learn it and then move forward, because alphabet is not everything you need to know about Hebrew.
Yeah, it is the most essential thing, most foundational thing, though.
I think it's the biggest hurdle toward learning the language.
Yeah, and so one of the experiences that we had in this last cohort round that I did is somebody starting new. We went over the alphabet rather quickly, and he kept up, but he didn't have the automaticity in the sight to sound correspondence. He knew the letters, he knew, and if he took long enough, he could sound them out. But it just wasn't automatic. That has to get automatic, because if you're having to spend brain power on just saying it right and having to figure out what the sound is, you're never going to get to where you're focusing on meaning. So that has to be automatic. And so that's the biggest concern is can you, I don't care if you understand what it says, but can you look at the text and say, and sound and read it and sound it out,
So here on archive.org, there's There are some things that it's called a Christomathy. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Yeah. So a Christomathy was an old way that they used for teaching languages. You can find Greek Christomathies and Hebrew Christomathies, and basically they just introduce you to texts, short texts that they build upon. So in the beginning, it's often like pronunciation guide. Let's take a look and see what this one is. I'm not familiar with this one. Oh gosh, this mosquito is going to drive me nuts. But the idea is to do oral recitation with short phrases until you get better and build on it.
Yeah.
But I want to see what. A lot of times, the beginning of it is an exercise in pronunciation of the vowels and stuff like that. But a lot of times, it's like this: it's sections that have been pulled from the scriptures. In the case of the Hebrew Bible, that are definitely memorizable. Okay, so like this examples for praxis, and praxis, of course, is
Yeah.
practice. So let's make it bigger. It's just for practice reading in this case.
Yeah.
Lakat, lashan, matar, malak, masal, mashal, sakal. It doesn't matter what they mean, you know.
Right.
Kaved, kavad, shamen, shaman, kamel, kamal, davek, davak. Batal, bakal, gamal, gazal. Just you go through and you just practice.
Yeah.
And eventually, as it goes through, it starts to make sentences instead of just words. Because in the
Right.
beginning, you want to practice saying things like your tur, shur, shuk, shut, shuv, sur, ur, uf, sug, nuf, kun. Just practicing. They don't mean anything. But
Yeah.
with time, and they add each of the vowels slowly, like even, eder, erez, gefen, cherev, nefesh, eved, so on,
Mhm.
and they mix the types. Let's see where they start actually. Nouns, feminine, gedufa, gerusha, yitzuka, and so on. And this will be the sections of the book related to a grammar book that they've put out, the same author.
Yeah.
So if we look for this author, we'll find his grammar also. Part 2, Easy Sentences for Beginners. אלוהים שופט צדיק. את הרשע ישפוט האלוהים. כל אמרת אלוה צרופה. דבר אלוהינו יקום לעולם. בליבי צפנתי אמרתך. Like you just read it. And this is how they used to do. The teacher would stand in front of the class and he says, Colton, read number 20 for us. And you'd read it. And then he'd correct. And the whole class would read together. Adonai b'shamayim mechin kis'o, u'malchuto b'kol mashal. Like you read together. It was such an interesting way to do things. And this is how they got good at language.
Yeah.
It's not like just translate in grammar. It's like let's read it out loud together and feel what it says.
Yep.
And this is why I like what we do, where we spend all of our time reading and reading and reading and reading. We translate, we talk about it, but the goal is to read and read as much as
Yep.
possible. So I thought about sometime going through one of these Christomathies. See, this actually gets into the text of the Bible.
I mean, yeah. You know, um, it's the same principle as graded readers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's
It's the same.
old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's just old fashioned. Yeah.
Isn't everything old better? I guess not.
Not everything. A lot of things. Not everything. See.
So Fernando, you say that in your courses that people were interested in other subjects. What could possibly interest them more than Hebrew? I don't get it. Hebrew should be the most important and most interesting subject you've ever studied.
It is. Period.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Jonathan said he would join us, but he is not joining us, is he? I told him new, and that's supposed to be like, we're impatient. Come on. Yes. He says, ¿Todavía estás allí? Are you still there? And I'm like, yes. Sí. I wrote him in Spanish. I wrote sí. So maybe he'll join us. And we can talk about whatever we want to talk about, because this is just streaming. Live streaming,
Yeah.
whatever we want to say.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. It's another thing. I about knocked that all over everything. So let's not do that. Another thing, that Santana and we've been meeting once a week, and just trying to do. I indulge you this, but just trying to do more communicative-ish stuff at the very least. Just introducing ourselves and.
Oh, that's why I said modern Hebrew. Why don't we pull something up about modern Hebrew?
Okay.
Let's see. Where do I get this stuff saved? Courses.
Yeah. Fernando mentions like a lot of his friends are more interested in exegesis and New Testament exegesis and Greek, and it's like, I mean, that's great too and all, but like, God spoke Hebrew, so. No, there's a balance. It's one of those things where like, because most people are gonna want to do Greek first. Also, it's the initial gateway is easier in my opinion.
Yeah.
At least some of the letters look familiar.
Greek is definitely easier to get into in the beginning.
Yeah.
I've never been one to get into like exegetical things. Like I don't know why, but theology's never interested me. But that's probably just me, I guess. Most of my modern Hebrew stuff is on a drive that I can't access because I'll show you why. Something happened to this cable. See that cable right there?
Yeah, moving sucks.
You see it's frazzled?
Yeah.
And so that's the only cable that will hook into that thing, and it doesn't read.
What were you looking for exactly?
Like, I don't know, any kind of introduction to modern Hebrew that's not Hebrew from scratch.
Okay, well, I have two. I think I have two others. Give me a second. I have.
Oh, I've got the Zondervan graded reader of biblical Hebrew. Forgot about that.
See, modern Hebrew. I have Rosen's textbook, and I have this one that you sent me by Lewis Gilbert.
Ah, that's a good one.
Lewis Leonard. Sorry, my bad.
Maybe that's on archive.org.
I feel like it was open access.
Yeah, it's on archive.org.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, let's look at that. That's fun. Okay. So let's just go through it. Yeah. All right. Preposition phrases, and adverbs as modifiers. So introduction, like adjectives, chapter 10. Oh, how do we get to chapter 11? Let's not start at chapter 11, yeah? Wonder if they don't have chapter 1. Maybe they do. We have 5 people watching. That's crazy. God spoke Paleo Hebrew, not Zelig or Yiddish, which is more Germanic. If you start saying that modern Hebrew is German, I'm going to kick you out of this chat, just so you know, because that's about the stupidest damn thing I've ever heard. I'm tired of hearing it from ignorant thugs. thugs, meaning bullies online, who think that they know Hebrew better than everyone else and they don't. So just be aware. It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm tired. I'm hungry. And if you continue that kind of discussion, you're not going to be here. All right. Let's see. About Israeli Hebrew. Blah, blah, blah.
Words on page, words on page, words on page.
Yeah, we're going to skip to where they actually get into grammar stuff because that's fun. Data, don't care. Description, don't care. This is the book you're talking about, right? We're not going to spend a year on the alphabet because that's a waste of time. Blah, blah, blah. Spelling. Okay, that's kind of important. So as far as spelling and modern Hebrew is distinct from biblical Hebrew, modern Hebrew uses the plain spelling, the full spelling of everything. Like biblical Hebrew often does not. It uses a shorter spelling without the yods and vads and alephs that we use today. Okay. Introduction. Wow, look at this. Okay, so that's why we're starting in chapter 11, because we're in chapter 5 already and haven't had a single bit of anything.
Yep.
All right, introduction. The definite article, ha, and definite object marker, et. Let's see, question. You think it's possible to come up with language that most people on Earth would understand without previously knowing it, like designing it with the most universal commonalities? I think that that's what they were trying to do with Esperanto, but I don't think anybody is really going to be able to catch on to Esperanto with any ease. I don't think so, though. I think that language necessarily comes enwrapped in culture.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way around that.
Yeah, and it's too, like, it also depends on, like, what kind of linguistic background they're coming from. So, like, the idea that to an extent, your world is shaped by the way that your language is structured. If you have a tense prominent language, you think about time, an event being relative to time before, at least maybe not instead of, but before you think about it being the type of event that it is. Is it a whole event, a possible event, a finished event, versus, which is different from saying a past, present, or future event. And so, like it's just those kinds of things are going to be different. And again, language is just what is. Again, that's the other thing. Is like what are words? What is language? It's nonsense that we came up with to refer to something in the real world. So it's a shorthand for a referent in the real world. And so how we do that, yes, there's certain patterns that they follow, but not everybody does the same patterns in the same construction in the same ways. So,
like we do have, like the built-in, mechanism for language in our brains.
Yeah,
and that's universal for mankind. But the specific structure that takes is molded by your ear when you're a baby, and so it's not easy to rewire those things once you're an adult. You have to invest in learning a language or acquiring a language, and I don't think that you could do that universal because you can't force everybody to be born in the same place. So it would be very difficult. Anyway, so the definite article is ha. The, written as a prefix to the following word. We should know this. Pizza, ha pizza. Ha pizza. The pizza. Okay, you can see the word pizza there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. But occasionally with countable nouns, the determiners eze and echad, meaning some or certain, may be used to underscore the indefiniteness. Eze in both singular and plural, and echad just in the singular. Okay, so for example, ani mechapes chaver. I'm looking for a friend. Probably a friend that you know and you don't know where he is, but you're looking for him. And then the offshoots, ani mechapes eze chaver, ani mechapes chaver echad. I'm looking for one friend. I'm looking for some friend. Ha is sometimes optional and often impossible with intrinsically definite nouns, such as names. Thus, Hashabbat or Shabbat Sabbath. David, David. Chaveri, my friend. Chaveri. In association with ha, one often finds et, which introduces a definite direct object. Say, tavili et hadag. Tavili et hadag. Bring me the fish. And the om means object marker. Bring me om, the fish. Tavili et hadag. Truth is not subjective. Mm-hmm. All right, you want to go. This is a silly comment. All right, that user was banned for being silly. All right, Tavili et David, bring David to me. Bring me David. And then indefinite, Tavili Dag, give me a fish. Or give me fish. Like, I want fish. I don't eat fish. Ani lo ochel dag. Ani lo ochel dag. Dag. אתה אוכל דג? אתה לא מקשיב. אתה אוכל דג? Do you eat fish?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
אני לא אוכל דג או דגים. This book looks like it's going to be boring. Does it have translation exercises?
You know what? I don't know if it does or not.
Looks like it just has examples.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you can use the examples for translations.
Yeah, I've not actually gone through it or anything.
All right, this book looks useless for us. First of all, it doesn't have any reading. Yeah, no reading sections.
Yeah, no,
you need reading sections. So I have Hebrew from scratch.
Okay,
and that has reading sections.
Yeah, I have a question. The other day when we were just, I don't remember what it was, but you looked on the Academy of the Hebrew Language to look something up. How'd you do that?
Oh. Hold on. Pull a tab. Okay, so what you type is oh, that's not Hebrew. Academia lelashon. Academia lelashon.
Okay.
Hit enter. Here it has Luchot Nitiat HaPoal. Okay. And here you can put your root, like Bet Nun Yud, not Bet Nun Hey, but Bet Nun Yud, and it gives you the binyanim that it appears in. Kal, Baniti, this is past, Aval, Atid, future, Ove, present, Sivui, command, imperative, and then Benoni Paul is the Kal participle, passive participle.
Yep.
So, Baniti, Banita, Banit, Bana, Banta, Baninu, Nithem, Niten, and Banu. Ivne, Tivne, Tivni, Yivne, Tivne, Nivne, Tivne, Tivnena, Yivnu, Tivnena. Bone, Bona, Bonim, Bonot, and so on. Easy. There's another website that people really like called Pealim.
Yeah.
co.il, I believe. Maybe pealim.com.
Yeah, I have I have it saved.
What's good about this one is that you can search any form, like basically, like instead of bana, you can say livnot, the infinitive. And it pulls it up. Or you can say, I think you can say baniti. Pulls it up. Tells you the root, which is not right. It's not bet nun hey, it's bet nun yod.
Right.
The form, that baniti, tells you it's past tense, first person singular, I built. You can see the full conjugation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah.
But I think it also gives you extra words. Yeah, binui, construction or development. Builder, banai. Banui, built or constructed. Lehibanot is a passive to be built. Leavnot, to structure. You structure something.
Mm.
Bniya, building. Binyan, structure like a verb stem in Hebrew. Mivne, a building. Muvne, built in. And tavnit is a pattern or a form like a baking tin. It gives you extra words that are built on that root. So it's really useful. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, really nice. Mm-hmm. Fernando says, חברים יקרים, אלך לישון מפני שצריך לעבוד בעוד כמה שעות, אז לילה טוב לכולם. And he says, friends, I'm going to go to sleep because I need to work in a few more hours. So good night to everybody. Laila to Fernando, nice to have you. Thanks for stopping in at this random chat thing. So I guess I'll find Hebrew from scratch. Mm-hmm.
Did you say Jonathan was coming?
You know, he said he was, but who knows?
Yeah. It's fair.
He said he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, that's fair. I gotta go in about 17 minutes. So
What's that even
just
mean?
what?
You gotta go in 17 minutes.
I gotta get off here in 17 minutes. Is what it means.
I asked Jonathan, what's going on? Are you coming or not? Um, hmm. Wow, I am really hungry. I can't believe how hungry I am right now. Blood tests are not a fun thing.
No.
What shall we go over in 17 minutes? Marcelo says,
Uh,
ciao as well. Thanks for publishing this so that people that want to can learn Hebrew culture. Well, I don't know about culture. We don't have Hebrew culture. We have Hebrew language. Because the Hebrew people died out a long time ago. Good night, Marcelo. The cultures that we see today expressed in Judaism and in people who have, blood and tradition going back to the Hebrew people is not the same as the culture that was going on in 500 BCE. Just not the same. The religion's not the same. The language has changed dramatically. Um,
yeah.
Not good to say that we know Hebrew culture because we don't. We don't sacrifice animals and go to a big temple on the mountain. It's just not how we live. So, as much as we might be Jewish today, we don't have the Hebrew culture. Just we're very disconnected from how people lived 2,500 years ago, even using the same texts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you've got 16 minutes. I don't want to sit here by myself. It's been an
I
hour and
know.
8 minutes on this little thought experiment. Languages carry deep information, I believe, but no, I understand what you say. Definitely, language does carry a lot of that stuff. But even knowing the languages and knowing them well, there's still things that slip by that you don't notice
Yeah.
because you don't have the cultural affiliation.
Right.
Uh,
Did
oh,
you
I
get it?
got it.
Woo!
Yes,
Look at
that
him.
mosquito's been buzzing around here all night, biting me. Now it's dead. Um, Thanks, Marcelo. Good night. Thanks for stopping in. Great. Well, I guess we should cut it off there then. An hour and 10 minutes. That was fun. It's fun that we
Yeah.
can just sit and talk and share it with other people.
Yeah. It is. And I think too. It's one of the things that talking with some of the cohort today is like we always have stuff that we're doing, we have the live classes and the reading groups and this, that, or whatever. But just having time to just like sit and get to know each other is part of the building of the community building too. So that's why you see
Yeah.
streamers doing just chatting streams and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fun also to ban people that are saying stupid stuff. It really annoys me when people start saying that Hebrew is Yiddish, because I don't know Yiddish.
Yeah.
I hear people speaking Yiddish and I have no idea what they're saying because it's not Hebrew.
Right.
So, yeah. But that's what they say. You don't speak Hebrew, you speak Yiddish. Oh, you don't know what Yiddish is. So, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the and that's the thing is like I don't, and that's just it. It's like I don't know modern Hebrew very well, but I definitely don't know any Yiddish. So it's it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you said, it's just people. It's just ignorant.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
people
I'm
talking
thinking
to
about putting lessons together from SEAL, like actually talking about the grammar and stuff. Because why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Or you could just do
It's not an
Lambda.
easy thing. Lambda, actually, I looked at it and it looked good.
I know. I think Lambda is just a more detailed SEO, but
Yeah.
What do I know?
Well, maybe I'll look more at it. Because why not? The only problem is I don't have a print copy of the book, and that makes it, annoying to try to flip through.
Yeah.
So.
It does. That's fair.
All right. Well, you got your 12 minutes to go, and I'm going to start gearing myself up to go to the doctor.
Good luck.
And thinking about the fact that I'm going to be able to eat in about 3 hours.
Goodness.
All right. Yeah. That's how it is when you're diabetic and you got to fast for 12 hours before blood tests,
Yeah. Yeah. Both my parents are diabetic, and yeah. So.
But hopefully I'll come out on the other side with good numbers. My numbers are good. Like, okay, I take my daily pill and in a couple of days.
Yeah, I've not felt well today at all. Like I feel like my right side of my body is just like really tight. And it's just one of those things. Yeah, but
I really thought you were going to say I don't feel very well. I feel like my internet connection.
Yes, that too. It's been rough tonight. I know.
Yeah, it's been spotty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you take it easy.
You too. Have a good
Maybe
week.
I'll see if I can get one of these people in the audience to come up and be on camera. I'll post it again and see if anybody's going to join me.
That'll work.
There are 2 people watching, and this is the link for StreamYard if you want to join. All right. We'll see you later, Colton.
Have a good one.
Take it easy.
You too. Bye.
And now I'm sitting up here by myself. If anybody wants to join me in the next 5 or so minutes, then we'll keep going just talking. And if not, then I think I'll call it a night. What would I talk about? If anybody knows me, you know that my obsession is the Tetragrammaton. That is Yud He Vav He as a name, the name of God. It's kind of the thing that I obsess most about, I think. I don't talk about it on the Hebrew Cafe because there are people who engage who don't want to have the name spoken aloud. And I can understand that, so I respect it. But still, it's something that fascinates me. If you're unaware, the Hebrew name of God is 4 letters. These 4 letters. See about making it bigger. The name is pointed in most copies of the Bible as this, which is an impossible form. You can't read it because there has to be some kind of vowel on this hey. We know that the vowel that's missing is the cholam. And so we get this as a form that is sometimes read aloud because it's the shva is o, a. So they say Jehovah or Yehovah. Sorry to say it out loud, but okay. Head. How do you highlight this? I got everything lined up wrong. Okay. So that's how they tend to say that you're supposed to say it. Those people who believe these things, like Nehemiah Gordon. I'm convinced that the vocalization of the name should be different. I think that it is like the scholars have said, like this. But I pronounce Vav as V, so I say Yahweh. Yahweh. That's how I think it should be pronounced. You're welcome to jump on here and talk about it if you want. This is just me talking my opinions. So what I think happens is that just like Yivne, when it becomes like he will build, becomes a shorter form, right? For the Joseph, this vowel is changed to and you get Yivin. Yivin. He let him build. What happens when you have this name and it drops the hey on the end? Okay, you've got Yah, like YAH with a V just hanging out there and nothing connected to it. That's a problem. So what happens is that this V would change to U, and the syllable would like this. This syllable is now in an open. It's open, so it becomes long, and it's Yahoo. And Yahoo is what we see in the names Eliyahu, Matityahu, and so on. Yahoo. So Yahoo is completely predictable from Yahweh, but there's no way to get from Yehovah to Yahoo. Yehovah. No, Hebrew. Okay, there is no reason why Yehovah, if shortened, should become Yahoo. Why doesn't it just say Yeho? Yeho, 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 Yeho. Could stay like that forever and not be changed. Yonatan. Why not Natan Yeho? Natan Yeho. Why does it have to become Yahoo? I don't see any justification for that. But from Yahweh, you can find justification for Yahoo. Because we had case endings in Hebrew at one point, and we had the word like Sachwu. Sachwu means swimming. Sachwu. The case ending dropped in biblical Hebrew, and then we ended up with Sachv, with the V just hanging out there. Doesn't like to be alone. So the syllables rearranged themselves. So this became U, and this became long. Sachu. Sachu is the word for swimming in biblical Hebrew, which now we say schia. Schia, swimming. Schia. So sahu was the biblical form, just like tohu and vohu and all of these words that end in u. Where the stress is on the previous syllable. These are segulate forms. Stress is on the previous syllable, and the final syllable becomes, instead of a vav just hanging out in the middle of nowhere, becomes u. We can see another example. Ishtachave. Ishtachava is this means, not but this means he bowed down. He bowed down. Ishtachava. Okay. The future is not but end with, instead of he, yi, yishtachave. Yishtachave, whenever you make vav consecutive, would be va yishtachave. But it prefers always, that third hey prefers to disappear. And this vowel is simple, an echo vowel. So vayishtach v, with a vav just hanging out there. And what happens to that vav is it becomes u, and the stress is maintained there. Vayishtachu means, and he bowed down. And this form appears all over the Bible. Vayishtachu. So we have plenty of evidence that when the vav ends up at the end of the word, it just becomes u. And the stress remains in the syllable before it. So what that explains perfectly, like exactly what happens if the vav, the hey is lost. This becomes u. The syllables are reconstructed, and it's Yahoo. Like, makes perfect sense. Makes good sense. And then whenever you drop the vav, it's Yah. Like, you can get all of the forms from Yahweh. There's no sense in this vowel at all from Yehovah. And I've never heard a good explanation for that. Or how, in the Lord or in God, why should it be pointed like this? That's how it's pointed in the Bible. If the vowels are these, okay, then we must see Be, Yehovah, becoming Behovah. But we don't see that. We see it pointed as if it were Badonai. These vowels exactly. So this is my soapbox, and nobody has gotten on here to talk. It's been 8 minutes since I said I would stay on for 5 minutes, and I put the link up there. Nobody's joined me. So that's my little soapbox on the vocalization of the Tetragrammaton, which I could spend a lot of time on because I really like the topic. But I know it's not something that everybody likes. And it's now 6 o'clock in the morning. And I need to be at the doctor in 2.5 hours. So I don't know how I'm going to spend the next 2 hours not eating. But I think I'm going to just pour myself a glass of water and maybe watch something on Disney. It's been nice chatting with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed whatever this was. And don't know when we'll do this again, but we probably will. Maybe Jonathan will join next time instead of just saying that he's joining. See you guys. Bye-bye.